Zach, there is a lot going on in the world right now, a lot of anti-Semitism raging, not just in the Middle East, but we're seeing this around the globe. Also here in America, some really shocking incidents continue to happen, and we're going to get into all of that. But you recently held an event where Christian students learned how to take a stand against anti-Semitism. Tell us about this event.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks for having me on the show today, Billy. It's great to see you. This past weekend, we had what we call our Passages DC College Experience, and we had 150 students from around the country attend a conference here at the Museum of the Bible, and they heard from a variety of speakers, from Steve Woodcock to Steve Green, a message from Vice President Pence, Will Scharf, White House Staff Secretary, and then there were other guests throughout the weekend. But the main goal was to train and equip these students to be able to go back to their campuses and be effective pro-Israel advocates, and to be able to identify anti-Semitism on their campuses. And one of the guests we actually had was a CEO from Honest Reporting, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not, but what they do is they train individuals how to tell if there's a news article or a media post, that how to detect if there's anti-Semitic bias in it, and what's real and what's not. I know we had last week, there was that huge story that went viral of the photo of the child in Gaza from the New York Times. And it comes out later that we find out that child had a pre-existing medical condition. And that was just one of the examples that she shared, that we shouldn't believe what we see right off the bat. We need to dig deep, find the facts. And it was very insightful and informative. In addition to those speakers, we had advocacy training sessions, teaching students, how, when they go back to campus, how can they be an advocate, what they can be doing there. And these students, a combination of them, were new to Passages. Some have been to Israel with us this year, and some of them were supposed to go, but we unfortunately had to cancel because of the Israel and Iran war. But overall, it was an incredible weekend, and hopefully we'll have some engaged Christian students going back to their campuses, ready to stand up and advocate on behalf of Israel and the Jewish people.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the current events, but talk a little bit more about Passages Israel, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're doing. And obviously this is work you were doing before this chaos unfolded of late, but talk a little bit about that so people can get an idea of what it is you do.
Sure, be happy to. So Passages was founded back in 2016, and we've been nicknamed the Christian birthright. So back in our earlier years, we were sending thousands of students to Israel per year. And then, of course, once COVID hit, some of the travel was not happening on a regular basis. And once things started getting up and running again, October 7th happened. And there was travel restrictions, and we weren't able to send as many students again. But what October 7th allowed us to do was to refocus some of our priorities. We're not only just going to be sending Christian students to Israel, but with the rise of anti-Semitism that we're seeing on our college campuses, we want to make sure that the students that we're sending and accepting into our program are going to become effective pro-Israel advocates. So the Israel trip is obviously the highlight of their experience with Passages, but leading up to the trip itself, they're required to take rigorous coursework. There's an interview process they have to go through with our team. And then we'll train them throughout the year that they're with us in terms of how to be an effective advocate, what they can be doing on their campus before the trip, after the trip. And during this whole year, we try to identify, those students that we think have the most potential to be effective leaders in their communities and eventually into their careers, wherever that may be. So October 7th was really a wake-up call for us. While it's great to send Christian college kids to Israel, not only for them to grow in their faith and their walk with Christ, we want to make sure that we're sending kids there that are going to come back and be forceful, impactful advocates for Israel and standing up against anti-Semitism.
Yeah, right now it's such an important thing to be training young people, and particularly Christians, to be standing up against anti-Israel sentiment, anti-Semitism. It's really alarming to watch even some people, it used to sort of be confined to more one side of the aisle, but it seems like politically it's popping up on both sides of the aisle right now. What has you most alarmed when it comes to the level of anti-Semitism that we're currently seeing?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I started in this position in January, and when I first started, Our main concern was, okay, addressing anti-Semitism on the left. And we knew there were some factions on the right that there was kind of boiling under the surface. We were seeing some comments made and heard from some prominent figures, some anti-Semitic or anti-Israel sentiments. But even in the last few months, to your point, it's just seemed like it's kind of gone on an overdrive. It's you're now taking it from both sides, the left and the right. And giving these students that are right-leaning students at colleges and universities, we want to make sure they're hearing the facts. I know they're listening to people on podcasts and other avenues. We want to make sure that they have the facts and are not going to be easily swayed to believe some of the things that they're hearing. And to your point, it's going to be tough. We have a lot of work ahead to do, but I'm encouraged because I'm sure you've seen the data that Gen Z especially, there's been a turn towards faith. There's been a decline over generations where Americans have been less involved in their faith and their church. But that's kind of taken a stop here with Gen Z. And it's encouraging because these kids that are turning towards their faith, right now they're in that stage where they can be molded and their opinions can be shaped. So getting the messages and the facts and teaching them, why as a Christian it's important to support the Jewish people and stand with Israel is critical right now, because now they're in their formative stages, of their faith and their walk with Christ, and trying to address this right now is an urgent matter, and that's what we're determined to do.
And this may seem like a silly question because for a lot of us we know the answer, but why is it so essential for Christians to support Israel? There's been so much debate around this. There was the Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson back and forth, right, about Israel today and whether Israel today is the same as the biblical Israel. But why is it important to train up Christians to ensure that these young people, and not just young people, but all believers, understand the importance of Israel?
Yeah, so first of all, there wouldn't be Christianity without Judaism. Judaism is literally the roots of the Christian faith. So understanding that first is essential, but not only in the why it's important in a faith regard to support the Jewish people, but also in a values regard. Israel represents the Judeo-Christian values that the United States was founded upon. They're a beacon of hope in a region that's shrouded in darkness in the Middle East. And an attack on Israel, essentially, in my mind, is an attack on the Western values that our country was founded upon. One thing that I've noticed and I saw in the protests on some of these college campuses in the past is, you'd see the Israeli flag being burned, but right by it, you'd see an American flag being burned as well. And that's because it's not only an attack on Israel and the Jewish people, it's an attack on America, the Western values that we were founded upon. And it's critical to make that connection that this is not just some random country that the United States is supporting. No, it's a cherished ally our values are their values. And it's critical that, we make that connection and that's understood.
Well, Zach, I do appreciate you taking the time today and want to ask you one last question. Where can people go for more information on Passages?
Yeah, you can go to our site, passagesisrael.org. We have information there on upcoming trips, recent press releases, and if we'd love to get your support to send more Christian kids to Israel. It's an exciting time for Passages. This year we're sending the most Christian students to Israel we have since October 7th. We had over 200 students on the ground this summer at one time, and that was the most since October 7th. And this year, barring any other setbacks, we're determined to reach our goal of around 700. And hopefully in the years ahead, we'll be able to send more. So I think the more Christian college kids that we can get exposed to Israel, the greater effect that we'll have. And I'm just very honored to be in this position. We have a lot of work to do, but we have a great team, and we're determined to get it done.
Well, Zach, I so appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Billy. It's great to see you.